On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast, our guest is Sandi Adams, the owner of Salon 42, located right here at the 4042 intersection in Johnston County, right behind the Food Line and in front of the Ugly Mug Coffee Company. We talked to Sandi about growing up in the McGee's Crossroads area, going to Mitchell's Hairstyling School, how she got started in the hairstyling business, her decision to buy Salon 42 from her sister-in-law in 2022, and different types of things people can do to help their hair feel fuller. We talked about her hair extension business that is growing and different ways that you can dye your hair and have a lower maintenance on that hair, where she has clients going as much as 4 or 5 months between appointments with different dyeing solutions she can offer. It was a fascinating conversation about her journey, owning a business, and just the hairstyling business in general. I hope you'll listen and you'll enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden, and on today's episode, we have Sandi Adams, the owner of Salon 42, right here at 4042, which by the time this episode runs will probably be 4036. Anyway, but she's not changing the name from Salon 42. And we're going to talk to her a little bit about growing up in Johnston County, how she ended up getting into the hairstyles business, when and why she bought Salon 42, the employees she has there, the services they provide, and a little bit of education about how you, if you're listening to this podcast, can take better care of your hair, particularly as you continue to age, when things start to thin and kind of like me, start to lose a little bit of hair. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. It should be a lot of fun, and so I'm looking forward to it. But before we do that, I want to ask you, as we always do, to like, follow, subscribe to this podcast, wherever you're seeing it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, or any of the other social media channels of the Best of Johnston County podcast. The Best of Johnston County podcast comes out every single Monday, so be checking back. We're well over 60 episodes now, so be checking back for future episodes and go back and listen to some of the previous episodes over the last 14 or 15 months that we put out. It's been a lot of fun. I think you'll learn a lot about Johnston County. It's a lot of evergreen content, so a lot of stuff you'll hear on there from the guest is not old and is still relevant today, and will help you learn more about Johnston County and why the guest and I love Johnston County so much. Also, if you give us a 5-star review, that would be great. That will also help for our visibility as well. And tag us in your Instagram stories, the Best of Johnston County. Welcome, Sandi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I got through all that. That's like my mini commercial for the thing. So anyway, so state your name and where you're from.
I'm Sandi Adams. I'm from right here in Johnston County. I just grew up in the McGee's Crossroads area, so I've seen all the changes of this area, seen it grow, seen it congest with more traffic, but it's been a fun ride.
It's been a fun ride. So did you go to West Johnston High School?
I did. I graduated in 2008.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's back. I said West Johnston High School opened maybe 04, 05?
I think it was 05.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So you're one of the very first graduating classes.
Yeah, I would say about so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 graduate.
The original Wildcats.
Yes.
So anyway, so where'd you go after you got out of West Johnston?
I went to Mitchell's Academy, and I started in the fall season of 2008 and graduated in October 2009.
All right. And Mitchell's was in Raleigh for forever.
Yep.
But now it's gone.
Yes, it recently closed.
Oh, man, I hate that.
Yes, I know. I've been back to a few classes with them, and I really wanted to go back, and they actually asked me to teach some classes there, but with them closed and everything, I never got a chance to. So,
well, yeah. So if somebody is interested in getting into cosmetology now, I know Johnston Community College has a good program. Yep. What are some other places where they can get involved if they're interested in doing this?
There's Wake Tech. There's the School of Hair in Fuquay. There's also Paul Mitchell of Raleigh. There's I believe there's one in Wilmington as well. There's a few other private ones like that. And there's Aveda. There's several you can go to. But if you go to JCC or Wake Tech, you also go into the business part of it, and you have to have your credits, and you do the cosmetology itself. If you go private, you're strictly doing all the hair stuff.
Okay.
So,
And so how long does it take? I
and
mean,
it's
the
if
JCC program is, I think, what, a
I think
year?
it's a 2-year
2 year
program
program.
because you
Okay.
have to go through all your credits and then you go through the hair cosmetology portion as well. If you go to a private like Mitchell's, it was strictly hair. It was a year program. Actually, it was about 10 months.
Okay. I got you.
Mhm.
So which is better?
I strictly want to do hair. I was not a book person. I was a more hands-on person. I was like, look, I just want to get in, I want to get out, and I want to start my life. So get me in there, let me get in your hair and let me learn. So I just want to go straight forward with it.
I
So it
got you.
really depends, like if you want to go through and get the dynamics of a business and go through and do that and have your, 2-year degree, you can get that while doing your hair. If you're ready just to get out there and go and you don't want to go through all that, I would highly suggest doing a private, more like Paul Mitchell, Aveda.
Okay.
So,
All right. I didn't know that. I
yeah.
know it's it's sort of that career in a year kind of thing.
Yes.
Like I can understand that.
Yep.
I mean, go ahead. And then I think you got to pass a test. You got to get a license, right? Explain that.
You have to do a written portion and you have to do a hands-on portion, which honestly, the written is very common sense, very easy. The hands-on part is all on a mannequin and you have your proctors going around watching every move. And let me just tell you, you do one thing wrong, you're done for it. And then you have to redo it again. But there's a lot of times like you could do one thing wrong, but you do great in the rest and you're really good. And so it's very easy. Another way you can also go to school for it is through the high schools, where they can do the cosmetology your senior year and you can go through the JCC, or I think some of them do Wake Tech. I'm not sure about that one, but I know JCC for sure. I had the chance to do it when I was at West Johnson, but I also played sports, so I couldn't do that and sports at the same time. So I just waited till I got out of school to do that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
you could do it in the high school
Yep.
some too, which I think that's great.
Yeah.
It can be a very high paying job.
Yes.
And it does not require a 4-year degree.
No, it does not. It is what you make it.
It is what you make it. That's
Yes.
true. That's true. There's no doubt. So I think I had somebody tell me one time that the test largely is around the chemicals in the dyeing of hair and whether you understand how the chemicals work so you don't like kill somebody's hair or poison somebody. But I could be wrong.
Oh, there's a whole chemistry section we have to learn because you're dealing with the acidity of hair, you're dealing with the porosity. We have to know the whole table of all the chemicals and everything else. Knowing the structure of the hair and what the client is wanting, we really have to look at the health of the hair before we can even think about putting bleach on the hair, putting a treatment on the hair, what the hair actually needs. So to know the chemicals you're working with is very important.
Okay. Well, that's good. So somebody did tell me that right. I don't know anything about. Look, I didn't do chemistry or biology. That's why I went to law school. I'm glad I don't.
A lot of people say y'all are some chemists. We're like, yeah, we really are.
In a lot of ways, that's true. That's true. So, well, cool. That's good to know. So, anyway, I guess what were you doing? I know you bought Salon 42 in 2022. Where were you working and what were you doing prior to that?
I actually started Salon 42 in October of 2011.
Okay.
My sister-in-law at the time owned the salon and asked me to come work there. And honestly, it was the best decision I had ever made. My clientele built in less than a year and it's just gone forward since then because it was a better community to work in for me. The environment was great and the growth of this area, it really just built up my clientele. And I had a lot of good support around me, helping me learn how to build my clientele, learn the education behind it and good reps we had there and everything.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess you bought it from your sister-in-law in 2022. Why did you decide, Mrs., I didn't want to do the books? You just told me you didn't want to do the books.
No, I did
now
not.
You want a salon with 8 or 9 employees. Explain that transition.
So when we were in hair school, one of our final projects we had to do was to make a business plan. And so, I always teetered, do I just want to do hair? Do I want to go the distance and travel and do this? Like, I really didn't know exactly where I wanted to be with hair. I just knew I wanted to do it. My mom did it when my brother was younger, stayed home with us. And then I have 3 cousins to do it. My sister-in-law at the time did it. So I had a lot of education around me from people and, just knowing the area of beauty. I grew up with, really bad acne. I loved makeup. I loved learning how to do my hair. I was like, well, I can do this for other people. And that was my main start of doing hair, was the love of making other women feel confident about themselves, no matter what their skin type was, no matter what their hair texture was, we can do something to make you feel better about yourself. So that's where I kind of started with everything. Then every year it was like a growth for me. And from there, I watched her go through all the ups and downs of running business. And some days I'm like, man, I'm so glad I just own my own booth, and that's great. And some days like, maybe I want a suite and just have my own little time. But then I was like, I don't want to be in a suite. I want to be in the environment of people. I want to continue to grow. And then it got to the point where one of my reps, Tammy Hetzel, she started talking to me about education. I was like, I think I would like to teach a class. That would be really cool. And so that's how I got in with Mitchell's and them asking me to teach with them and everything too. And then my sister-in-law at the time got into real estate, and I ever told her, if you ever decide to sell a salon, please let me know. I would be more than happy to buy it from you. And so I just kind of watched her, and I did a lot of asking other, salon stylists, what would you do in this situation? Or, hey, you're a salon owner. How would you go about that? So I kind of gathered a lot of information and really teetered back and forth with it. But when the time came, I didn't hesitate. I was like, absolutely, yes, I'll buy it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So was that a good decision?
It was. It was. I mean, first 2 years in business, definitely, they always say first 3 years is the hardest, and it's not been sunshines and flowers, but there has been some, yeah. It's definitely had its ups and downs, but I'm still grateful to have it. I mean, I love the fact of building these stylists up and helping them and educate them and everything else. And I can do that all under one roof.
Right. So how many stylists are there now?
Right now we have 6 stylists, and with myself included is 7. I have 2 more chairs open. I have 2 suites open as well that I'm looking to fill as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So what services do y'all provide?
We do anything from children's cuts to women's cuts, men's cuts. We do dimensional color, blonding services, perms. We also do hair extensions. Myself and one of my other stylists in there, Jessica Belvin, she does hair extensions as well. I am bringing in a new stylist. That's actually the 7th stylist. She's starting next week, and she also does hair extensions as well. So I really want to build the extension community in this area. We have a lot of clients that are coming from up north and from out west that they're having a hard time to find good extension stylists and everything because this area for the longest time didn't have those high-end services. So, one, to boost revenue for the salon and our stylists, that's a good way to do that, but also to provide, services for people who are not used to this area that we weren't able to provide services like that because it wasn't needed.
So me not knowing, what are hair extensions and why do you get them?
So hair extensions are added pieces of hair. You can have anything from a few strands in put, or you can have rows of hair put in, clip-ins, you can have sew-ins, K-tips, bonding. There's so many different kinds. People get them for length, fullness. They get them just because they plain want them. They do them for accented pieces. Like if you don't want, some people that want fashion colors in the hair, but they can't bleach their hair. So you can add a few K-tip pieces to add simple highlights to your hair with no damage. You can add, blue streaks in your hair without, bleaching your hair out and then coloring it blue. I know my girls love having different colors in their hair and everything. They love the tinsel in their hair. So, I can provide that on my girls and with a simple clip-in piece. And I can color it whatever color I want to for them without damaging their hair.
Okay. Well, I once again, I learned something new. I didn't know hair.
We can do some for you too.
I don't know. I tell you what, I'm losing my hair. I think.
Hey, they make pieces for that if you ever need it.
Yeah, probably so. So anyway,
have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some things that people can do as they age, as I've started to age, to what are some things that particularly women can do to make their hair look and feel fuller, as they age. Because, thinning hair as you age is a thing in men and women.
Right. So really depending on the length your hair is, what the process has been through, or how short your hair is and how thin it is, really depends on your product base and what you're looking for. Different products for fullness, you can do a mousse. They have a foam base, which is very lightweight. They have a water base, which is basically a spray in at the root that, can oomph the volume some without the alcohol in it so it doesn't dry the hair out. They have the actual mousse, which has more of a hold. So it really depends on the firmness you want, the style you're looking for, and the texture of the hair and what is the best suited for your hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Okay. So how do you help people decide which hairstyles fit their face shape?
That was a question I had a really hard time with in hair school. And that's actually a question I asked my instructor during class.
Okay.
I'm like, how am I supposed to know, 5 years down the road, if that's supposed to be a good fit for them? They're like, you'll get it over time. I'm like, great. So,
kind of like me,
but
and
they're right.
Like me in hearsay
Right.
evidence class. I don't know what hearsay
Right.
is.
But I mean, it's no joke. Like, you seriously, it's something you have to learn over time. In school, you're taught that the symmetrical look is an oval face shape. Obviously, no one has a perfect oval face shape. But say you have someone that has a very long face and very narrow. You don't want them to have super, super long hair just to make their face look longer and drag down. You want to add more volume to the sides of it, because if you add more volume to the top and more length, they're going to look like this. But if you want to have more symmetrical volume, symmetrical look for your face, some light face framing would be good. Some more volume here, maybe take the length up some. It really depends on their length of their neck as well. You don't want something that's going to completely cut their face if their neck is like super, super short. So you want to make sure the face shape and the elonging of the neck is really good, where their shoulders lay, how their hairline is, to really come to know what is a really good haircut for them and what they're also willing to deal with, whether they're okay with styling every day or they're okay with just throwing it up if they need to.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That sort of goes to my next question is, when it comes to the dyeing and coloring of hair, which are some of the best products and procedures for doing it that lead to the least maintenance?
So you can do a lot of different things. First, you can start out with just like a semi-permanent, which is just a very soft, low maintenance hair color. It easily fades off the hair over time, so you don't have such a line of demarcation at the root. A lot of times, if you're looking for more dimensional, then we do a balayage, whether we put it in foil or we air process it, and then we can color melt it, which means that once we do all of the lightening in the hair in the technique that we did with the balayage, we take a semi-permanent gloss and we glaze over the top with a darker color, and so we can smooth it out. So that way, when the roots come in, it doesn't look like you have a straight line of blonde coming out of your roots. It nicely softens that up. And that way you can go 3 months instead of coming every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. So it really, a service like that can cost more, but longevity wise, I have clients that go 4 or 5 months in between their appointments because of a nice blend through it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could go that far.
Yep.
I think I was always told that hair grow 1 inch most people's hair grow 1 inch a month. Is that right?
Typically, they say about an inch a month. So, yeah. Depending on your health and medications you take and everything else, they always say your hair and your nails are the trash can to your body. So anything you're feeding your body comes out in everything else.
Well, unfortunately, I bite my fingernails, which I've done since
mine are always colored brown. So
that's
from hair
awesome.
color.
That's awesome. So, I guess one question I hear women ask other women is, as I'm aging, should I shorten my hair?
Well, that really depends on you. A lot of people, of course, when they get into their 70s or 80s, some people still have really good health, and some people don't have the strength to do it. So we do have our ladies come in once a week to get their roller sets, to get their hair washed and dried. And, sometimes they're just not able to wash it as well either. So we do provide that service for people to come in. But really, depending on where they're at with their health and their resources and things like that, it really depends whether you like it short or you can maintain it better short, or if you're okay with having more length and you want to keep it that way. Because I have clients with both, and they're both in between those ages.
Right. Well, I guess there's no right answer.
No.
I mean, everybody has their own unique perspective
Yes.
as how they want their hair. I
Yep.
want my hair to be short. I want
Yeah.
it to be easy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I want it to dry fairly fast. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So,
yeah. I always have clients ask me, they're like, my daughter said I need to cut it cut it short because I'm at this age. I said, you know what? You do you. If you can handle it, that's what you do.
Right. Well, so back to the whole thinning hair thing. What are some of the best haircuts for you if you do have fine or thinning hair?
I would say with fine hair, the longer the hair, the more visible it can be. The shorter the hair, a lot of thin people do really good with bobs, whether it's an angle bob, straight bob. It creates more fullness around the face, which hence takes weight off the bottom. So then it can give you more height at the top to help cover any kind of see-through of the scalp or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that's cool to know.
Yeah.
All right. So if somebody wants to reach out to you at Salon 42, and it's not going to be Salon 36.
No, it's not.
Even though,
it's not.
Which is right here. It's right across from Ugly Mug here at, it's 4042, but it's going to be 4036 come February. If you want to hear about that episode, go back and listen to Butch Lauder talking about how Highway 42 here at I-40 is going to become, I believe, Highway 36 in February of 2025. That's why I'm joking with Sandi about changing the name. She knew that the road name was changing, and she's not changing the name of Salon 42, which has been there since 2000, I believe. Yes. So anyway, how can people get in touch with you?
They can call the salon at 919-772-4813. You can go on our website, Salon 42 Hair and Extensions. If you go into the client form, you can fill it out. It goes straight to our scheduling system. We do not do online booking, but you're more than welcome to get up with us on our Instagram and Facebook for Salon 42 Hair and Extensions and reach out to us on there.
Right. Not Salon 42 in Charlotte.
No, not Salon 42 in Charlotte. Nope. Look up Salon 42 Hair and Extensions
so we
don't get confused.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So anyway, it sounds like y'all can do just about anything as it relates to hair that anybody would want done, and y'all have openings, so you're not completely full. A lot of stylists don't have any openings at all, so you are taking new customers now.
We are taking new customers. I have 2 girls that are really building their clientele. They're doing fantastic. I have more chairs open at the moment. I am rebuilding my staff, and I offer a commission. I do booth rent, suite rent. I also do an assistant university program for these girls coming out of school, so I can help train them coming out of school as well.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. The last question we ask everybody on this podcast: what do you love most about Johnston County?
The community. I love the community. I've grown up in it. Everyone's very tight knit with each other. Everyone knows everything, and it's a really good way to network with everybody. If you know somebody, say, "Hey, I know someone that would work well for you." So the networking in this area is just great.
It's great. The community here, the business community here,
it's definitely growing.
Right. You and I have been right here. There's not that many of us that have been at 4042 quite as long as you and I have. Ugly Mug and Farm Bureau, Kevin Creech, and all those guys. I mean, everybody, we all sort of hanging here together.
Oh yeah.
Lance with Help Smart Pharmacy.
I've known Lance since I was 5 years old.
Yeah,
He's amazing. I love him.
Right. We're all sort of in here together. Well, cool. Well, we'd like to thank Sandi for coming and being our guest on this episode of the Best of Johnston County podcast. As we mentioned earlier, reach out to her at Salon 42 if you've got any questions about hair, any more questions about some of the stuff. She provided great value today on how you can improve your hair through extensions and different things, how to make it fuller. I think this was a very educational thing. She'll be glad to answer any other questions you have or give you her advice if you stop by and see her right across from Ugly Mug, right behind the food line, just like the Breeden Law Office. So do that. Also, as we mentioned earlier, if you will please follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you're seeing it. That will help you be aware of future episodes of the Best Johnston County podcast. And if you'll share this story on your Instagram stories, tag Salon 42 Hair and Extensions, also tag Best of Johnston County. That'll help our reach in the Instagram world as well. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.